All right, everybody, we're here with our first ever podcast. And today we've got Callan, and I'm not even going to try to say your last name. Maybe you can help us out with that.
It's Karakihayov. It's a Slavic name, quite hard to pronounce.
Karakahayoff.
Yeah. No.
Yes, you did a good job.
All right. Glad you asked first.
Yeah, I've got a pretty weird last name too, so I know what it's like to mess up people's last names or have them messed up, so I'll just stay hands off. But we're excited to have you here today. Maybe you can tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what you do, and that kind of thing.
Well, I run a company, a startup actually, at about 50 people. The company is called SEO.Domains, but is probably more known to the SEO community's SEO.Domains, because this is our branch turned to the SEO to provide good expired domains with links in history. I have more than 10 years experience in SEO, but the last few years I'm mostly doing domains because this is how our business evolved.
Awesome.
Gotcha. I saw on I think it was on your Facebook, I saw something else that was maybe tool.domains.
Yes, this is the company that is now being rebranded as SirLinksalot. So this is the mother company.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Okay. I guess you pretty much stay busy your day to day just doing company stuff, doing stuff with SEO domains.
Well, yeah, I have a lot of responsibilities, mostly managing people these days because I have about 30 people under my direct management.
Right.
But I also do a lot of technical stuff, a lot of evaluation of domains in regards to SEO, backlink profiles, and also a lot of things in the domain industry about domain catching.
Right. You've been in SEO for about 10 years. About how long before you jumped from, I feel like whenever we jump into SEO, whenever we're getting started, we start to branch out in a bunch of different directions. What we come to find is we specialize in one specific thing, and then we kind of run with that and build a business off it. For me, it was PBN building. So for you, getting started in SEO, what kind of drew you into the industry? And then how did you end up getting into, procuring domains as your main point of business?
Well, I started in SEO about 12 years ago. It was really fascinating because I was really thrilled to find an industry which is not zero sum. So when you put a website with content, you get constant traffic from Google. So you put a one-time effort and then you get constant returns, which is unlike most things in the economy work.
Right.
And also later I discovered that when two websites link one from the other, the website that got a link takes a lot of value, while the other loses nothing. So again, non-zero sum. A lot more opportunity for creating value. So after this, I was hooked up into SEO permanently. It was my thing.
Uh-huh.
I was always very much focused on link building because on-page SEO I find necessary but boring.
Right.
Wow.
Same.
I wonder if there's anybody who likes it.
In link building, you have much more opportunities for both for scaling and for more creative opportunities.
Sure.
So I'm a fan of scaling. I did a lot of PBNs, but 6 years ago, our PBNs, about 2,000 websites, got massively hit by Google. It was back in the days where people didn't protect their PBNs a lot,
Right.
with different WHOIS and IPs and all of that. So we didn't take the necessary precautions and we got hit. But this turned out to be quite a good thing because then we decided, okay, if PBNs are not for a lifetime, maybe we should have a constant feed of good domains if
Right.
PBNs got hit, so we can replace them easily with new ones. And that's how I started moving into domains. The pivotal idea of that move was that before we did some scraping about 7-8 years ago that was just finding broken links using Xenu, the super rote SEO
Okay.
tool.
Sure. Yeah.
And we did find some domains, but never super good ones. And then we started thinking in the direction of what if we knew from advance all the domains that exist, then we won't have to do all this exhaustive crawling only to find a very small part of them.
Right.
So I started learning about domains basically from scratch, about the different extensions, where you could find lists, what are the ways to compile a database, how you could maintain it. And basically this led into us turning into a different direction, more technical one. We left SEO aside and started digging into the domain industry to find out, can we really build this database of domains? And then we built it in 1 or 2 years. We had very good coverage of the existing domains. But then the problem was that when domains expired, we couldn't catch them.
Okay.
And so the next few years were building up a catching system, building up monitoring systems, buying servers, buying accreditation, partnering up, integrating APIs, and this continues to this day. And right now we are sending, I think, about 20 million drop catching queries a day via APIs.
That's amazing. That's that's wild. Now, you seem like a very technical guy. Do you mind if I ask what you did before you jumped into SEO? And then in aspects to procuring those domains, you were talking about learning different techniques to gauge the value of those. Was there, for everybody, it seems to be different, especially on levels of technicality. Was there specific schools you went to, or were you just kind of searching all over the internet for these answers and then testing what actually worked whenever it came to procuring these domains?
Well, before starting SEO, I did a little bit of web design, so I was trying to learn the HTML and some really, really basic stuff. Before this, I was a professional chess player and chess coach.
Really?
This was really fun, yes. But
that's awesome.
It involved a lot of traveling, and it was clear that it couldn't sustain my life, all my life doing that. So it was more like a youngster thing. And when I got to out of university and decided to settle down a bit, then I started doing the web stuff. Quite quickly turned into SEO, and I basically self-taught. I learned everything online. Testing, I had a few chess websites, so I had some material to test with. The first website that I ever did SEO on went out of Google for 6 months.
The way it is, right?
I did over optimization or something. I don't know exactly, but it just
gotta learn somehow.
I feel like that's very important. At early educational stages of learning SEO, if you don't completely tank a site, you'll never know, exactly where that line is. So I think it's an important cross. Yeah.
So you were.
And, I was quite practical, just testing different stuff, building links, trying to rank projects and clients. I got involved into an SEO competition in Bulgaria.
Okay.
And this was the first years, and I was always more interested on the technical side.
So Callan is like a brain, like a massive brain, and he entered this and then just figured it out on his own, basically, which is amazing.
So you were doing web design. You started building websites for yourself in the beginning?
Myself, then some clients, but I was never actually a web developer. I just used WordPress and had limited knowledge of HTML and just a tiny bit of CSS, and this was
Gotcha. I mean, that's pretty much where I
all
think
my knowledge. But it was good that I worked for a while with clients, because then I got to more experience to selling stuff and communicating with people.
And so then SEO was just something you found yourself from building these websites. You were just thinking, okay, so what's the next step? The website is here, now what?
Yes, I heard that it exists from a friend, and I got interested because I wanted to bring traffic to my chess websites, and organic traffic is the most usual one, because couldn't find any targeted traffic for them, but there was a large search volume for a lot of phrases, so I just tried to do SEO for each one of them. I had a lot of time back then. I had basically the most important thing for an entrepreneur, which was a lot of free time. If you have a day job, you're basically squeezed into just your tired evenings. But if you don't have what to do all day, you can grow up amazingly fast.
Yeah,
And you feel optimistic and you don't feel any constraints. And I think 3 months after I first learned what WordPress is, I started making trainings for beginners about how to install WordPress and create their own website. So
Nice.
it was a quite fast process between learning it myself and then doing it for clients and training it to people and creating a team. All of this took only about 2 or 3 years.
So, I mean, you play chess through this business, basically. What things have you learned from chess that you can apply to what you do now? Because it sounds like you find these natural progressions that you can kind of jump to. And in a short matter of time, you've been able to build what I consider one of the better SEO.Domains kind of registrars, empires, so to speak.
Well, actually, chess and my approaches to chess and to this business are quite different.
Okay.
In chess, I recognize my limitations, that I'm talented but not super talented. I am smart but not super smart. I'm prepared but not super prepared, and try to play to my advantages. But also I realized in chess that it's, after all, kind of a sport, although a mind sport, but still a sport. So the most important thing is to be optimally prepared for the game in a sports world. So like, you should feel good, you should be positive, you should be concentrated, and all of this is really the most important thing. You can prepare for years, but if then you go to the game and you haven't slept enough or you're not feeling well, then you would still play bad. So the most important thing is to have your peak at the game itself. While in the business it's different, because in the business you're working 24/7. You don't have some super important moments. You just have to give your best constantly. So it's a bit different playing a sport to building a business. You need a lot of consistency in the business. And this kind of comes naturally to me, the consistency. I think I'm just stubborn and I push forward. So from chess, I think the most important thing is strategic thinking, trying always to see the big picture and always trying to make sense of stuff. But also a very important thing is that chess is extremely complicated game.
Right.
Very often you have the best moves to be completely illogical ones. So it's when you play chess, you try to make sense of things, but sometimes you should accept that you cannot find the best move. You should just settle with something okay, because you feel that the position is too complicated.
Okay.
And so you are not afraid of making mistakes in chess, because even the world champion makes the best moves only 70% of the time.
Sure.
This is the world champion, so it's the perfect combination of talent, hard work, preparation, everything. So basically, I'm not afraid of making mistakes, because in chess, mistakes are just the nature of things. You shouldn't expect to play the best move more than 50-60% of the time. So I'm not afraid to test stuff, to try irrational experiments, or just try everything. Like Matt Diggity says, try everything. It's a very good advice.
That's awesome. Something I'd like to jump back to that I found really interesting, and it made me cringe a bit just because of the fact that I'm pretty heavily involved in PBN as well. But when you say, you had 2,000 PBNs at that point in time, was that your main business focus? Was the PBN and monetizing that?
Yes, it was PBN, selling links and ranking clients and ranking some of our own stuff.
Sure.
But selling links I really liked, because it's when you have an SEO client, of course you overcharge compared to the value of the links, but then you have the clients calling you, why did my position fall with 2 places, and what can we do? And you always have to monitor the websites and the home page of what silly things they might do. Basically, it's a lot more work. It's, let's say, 3 times more money, but 10 times more work.
Sure, yeah.
So link selling is very scalable. I always liked it. People just buy for the link, and as long as it's there, they have nothing to complain about. So you can scale indefinitely if you have a lot of websites and a lot of buyers. I really like that. Also, link selling I liked a lot because, let's say, you rent a link out for a year, and all of the money comes beforehand.
Right.
There's basically no year-long services that work like that. I really like that because it's very good for cash flow. So it went perfectly good selling links until the Google penalties came.
Well, and so at that point in time, did you have like a team working with you on this PBN? Because I mean, a PBN is typically a ton of work.
Yes. I had a team of 7 or 8 people.
And when the hit came, about what percentage of the network did you lose overnight?
We lost not overnight, but over several hits. I think we lost about 60%.
Oh, wow. And what did that do? I mean, that had to have been some sort of low point in the business, I would assume, like a stressful point. How did you bring yourself out of that?
That was a very long point. It lasted about maybe 6 months to 1 year because we lost more and more. And the thing with that is when you go down like this and you don't really wanna quit, you wanna even in the either the thing you're doing or something related to it, still make the most of what you have left. But psychologically it's hard because you see that you're losing and you're going down.
Right.
The trend is down. So you should somehow find a way to get a positive trend again. And for me, the way to do this was really a non-conventional one. I wrote an open letter to Google. But
Really?
I didn't write it right away. Yeah, you can still find it on characterhealth.com.
Awesome.
But I didn't write it right away. The thing we did is that we tried to file reconsideration request for the penalized websites after removing links and so, but Google still didn't approve them. And then we tried putting normal websites, and they still wouldn't fix the domains. And then we say, okay, let's just hit into Google into a PR way. So we put the best causes you can imagine, like for the poor people, for the oppressed woman, for the sick people, for everyone who people empathize with in society. And we put like videos and like nice stuff about those causes online. And then we submitted about reconsideration, but Google said it still think it's pure spam. So then we make screenshot of what Google thinks is pure spam. And we put an open letter that Google thinks that protecting women's rights is spam, or helping poor people is spam. But
that's unconventional. It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's really neat.
So we put a big open letter, and in this open letter we urge that Google is a very dangerous monopoly, and they have no rules which they abide by, and they're very dangerous, and everyone who cares about hitting Google as a monopoly should install an ad blocker and tell all their friends to do so and make this viral. And if only 1% of people install an ad block in the browser, Google will lose $1 billion a year.
It's very methodical with the entire. That's awesome. Yeah.
And we made that not viral, but it went like semi-viral. It got maybe about more than 10,000 views quite quickly. It got some shares over social media, especially in Bulgaria. It got shared everywhere in social media because here everyone knows us and really respects me and my team. So interesting thing, after this, there were no more penalties. I got no response from people, but there were no more penalties. It may have been accidental. I don't know. I would never know. But But still, it was very important psychologically that instead of Google hunting me, it was now me hunting Google
Right.
and trying to hit them. So I felt a lot better. So it didn't actually matter that much if it helped or not. But the important thing that was that me and my team felt a lot better, and
Yeah.
so that was when the upward trend started.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
you
I
were
mean, I'm
being
getting
proactive.
goosebumps about the story just because it's so exciting to hear somebody go after the big guy like that. You know, it's a David and Goliath story, and I love
Yeah,
that about SEO.
it was definitely fun, there were tweets like, "Wow, this girl just declared war on Google" and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
that's
I had a
cool.
lot of like
Calendar
fun,
revolutionary,
despite
yeah.
despite the difficult otherwise financial
Sure.
situation. And after that, basically we saved part of the link selling business, and we were motivated to start the domain finding business.
Okay.
So your team is with you in Bulgaria,
Yes.
and were you able to, I guess, you kept the same team and just moved them towards the new venture, which was domains?
Yes, my team back then was about only 8 people. Then I met with my co-founder, Metodi. He's a very good developer, so
Okay.
he started to. Before this, we didn't have any developer in the team. We were just
Uh-huh.
spammers. So, but with developers, it was different. We put all domains that we have into a database, started monitoring them, opened a company officially because before it was just a bunch of freelancers. Then we opened a
Sure.
company, and amazingly, with the idea of finding domains for SEO, basically for spammy stuff, we managed
Hmm.
to get a small seed investment from a fund that invests into
Okay.
startups because we managed to convince them that the SEO industry is super profitable,
Hmm.
and a lot of the competitive niches rely on links, and we have a way to produce a commodity that produces links much cheaper than the market prices. And we showed some case studies, real case studies with clients, and the investors were convinced, and they gave us 15,000 euro of initial investment.
Awesome. Do you mind discussing that a little bit? Maybe because I feel like in SEO, or at least within the niche that we're in, you know, which is these small kind of private SEO groups, we don't hear a lot about going after venture capital or getting funding from somebody. So, in aspects to that, did you know these people before, or did you just hatch a plan saying we need X amount of money in order to grow to a certain stage, and we'll execute that and see who we can get on board?
Uh, well, it's a small seed fund in Bulgaria that uses EU money. Everyone knows
Okay.
them. 1 year before, I had tried with another project, but failed because they decided that the space was not didn't have much perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But this time it was different because we already had some revenue, which is
Okay.
very rare for startups that
Startup.
are very early phase, because most startups try to build some product, often have the product or even don't have the product finalized yet. They may have some users or don't have some users, but they very rarely have revenue, which is
Mm-hmm.
quite which is the best proof actually for anything. And because the VC world is used to startups just burning money, building
Mm-hmm.
users for a free service, maybe with the idea of some free users switching to paid, and all of this is very hard stuff. Most startups fail. So if they get introduced to the SEO industry, where basically everyone is making money,
Right.
I think they will really appreciate the cash positives that the SEO industry brings.
Correct. Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
So this might be prying a little bit, but so when you approached the venture capital company, did you have to offer them part of the company, or was it how did it all work?
Yes, yes, we gave them 12% and then another 10% for another investment 1 year later.
Okay.
So basically, our small company that was barely covering its cost got an evaluation of 1 million euro, which was quite cool
Awesome.
after
Wow.
the second investment. But actually, when then it seemed a lot to me. But now, when I look back and I see that we already had a lot of potential that we actually didn't develop in the fastest and best way because we didn't know what we were doing. Of course, like
Like all of
most
us, right?
startup founders, yes. But really, the investors put a lot of trust into us, and they didn't understand anything about the industry. So it was
Okay.
just pure trust. And basically, with VCs, it's always like this. It's a trust thing.
Sure.
They cannot understand your industry, so it's difficult to grasp how little they understand about it.
Right.
But if they trust you, and if they get positive feedback from other people they trust. In our case, they asked a very good developer about the technical side
Okay.
of our project and got positive feedback from him that we're technically good. So we know what we're doing at least on the technical level. And yeah, they trusted in us, and they gave us this funding. And this put us in a very unique position because most of our competition in the in people who try to get domains with SEO value, they don't have an initial capital to invest into
Right.
building a database, into accreditations, into catching partnerships, because our initial investment into domain database and catching was 6 figure for sure, and now it has grown to 7 figures.
Right. Wow.
So it's really a lot, and it does come back because we achieve scale. We catch domains in a lot of different countries. We don't catch just SEO domains. We catch premium domains, good
Right.
names, catch traffic domains that don't have good links but have a lot of traffic. Let's say former pirate websites or
Sure.
this kind of websites. So actually, it does come back, but the process is long, and if you don't have at least 6 figures in capital to invest, or if you don't have, if you're a very good developer yourself, or you have a team of good developers, this may be lower, but you need some
Right.
and the other too. So it's a lot of work and money to be invested.
Of course. And so, you said it was initial investment of 15,000 euros and then 1 year later, 1 million?
It was 50
Oh,
and
50
then
and then 1 million.
100K, and the second
Okay.
100K for another 10% valued us, the company, at 1 million
Okay.
euro.
Wow. Okay. Wow. And so when you're talking about, taking in that kind of money, via what you started off with, what was your mindset on at that point in time? Management specifically, bringing more people on the team, or procuring more domains? Because when I consider spending 100,000 on domains worldwide, I'm thinking of, you know, um, just a whole lot of time and a whole lot of energy that has to be spent procuring the right domain. So, in aspects to that, how do you where was your focus? Management or just getting inventory so that you could push sales?
We tried different things, and some of them were not good choices. We tried
Okay.
to open a software as a service that you can use to search different things about domains and their owners, like an investigation tool, a bit
Okay.
like domaintools.com.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not a good idea because we didn't have the right concept, I think, of how we would sell this. And also then GDPR came and killed Whois, which was the
Mm-hmm.
main, basically, vector of analysis. So
Okay.
it was a killer blow for such projects.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that worked before, like selling links and basically getting easy cash, it worked after with buying domains and then selling them, buying and selling and catching better domains and selling those. And country by country, we discovered that the competition is not as big as it seemed when you really got into how the things work.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, we would say, okay, let's today investigate Serbia domains. They have good domains that drop with good links. They drop into this day, this hour. How can we catch in real time what investments do we have to make, what partnerships should we make. For the most important best domains, are there local websites that offer backorder services? Is there anyone who needs such domains from our clients? And a lot of different stuff. Now we are building a wiki for the domains for internal use, and we have 80 fields for each TLD. So there are 80 things that we research and save for each TLD, from very stupid stuff like do they have 1 or 2 letter domains, which are obviously valuable, to really complex stuff like who is limits and how can we get all the data, is there access to the complete list of domains, and a lot of really annoying technical domain knowledge that you cannot, there's no one to ask basically for. You can ask different details, but there's no one to ask for all of it. You get to discover and compile your own. But this is really a great space to be, because it kills the competition. Because if you need one thing with which you can kill all the competition in space, is when things are boring and uncertain. So there's the two killer blows, like make a field uncertain and boring, and there will be no competition in it, even if it takes you an hour to earn $1,000.
Right.
So the domain names are extremely boring. I think most of you would agree on this.
The names themselves, sure, yeah, it is the hunt behind the domain itself that I always found interesting, kind of like archaeology.
The hunt is interesting, but when you get into the technical details, it's boring stuff again.
Sure.
It's like how many checks can you make against an API until you get blocked, and so stuff like that.
Is your hunt